Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Rob. Today, I was feeling especially summery. In the summer sometimes I get a craving for a nice light summer salad. So today is roasted sweet potato and arugula salad. Let's go through the ingredients. Ultimate sad face. When I was grocery shopping, they were sold out of arugula. So today, for the roasted sweet potato and arugula salad, we had to substitute baby spinach. So I would highly recommend, if you're making this at home, please make sure to get arugula. It is the best. Baby spinach is my second favorite green leaf to use in this salad, so that's what we're going with today, but maybe just pretend like we're using arugula. Next up, we're gonna need some olive oil for the dressing, Dijon mustard for the dressing. I've got a nice fancy Dijon mustard here, and lemon juice, also a little bit of salt and pepper. That's the dressing. Spinach is our leaves, and then the rest is what's going in our salad. We're gonna use some fresh parsley. We're going to use some green onion. We're going to use and roast 2 sweet potatoes, medium size. And then my little vegan life hack to add a little cheesy flavor is we're going to use nuts for cheese, my favorite dairy-free cheese made out of cashew nut. Un-Brie-lievable is the flavor. Un-Brie-lievable. Tastes like brie. It's delicious. So I encourage you to hunt it down. It's in most major supermarkets now. All right, that's all we're gonna need. It's a nice, easy recipe today. So I'll get a few things set up and we'll get started. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is preheat the oven. Get it up to 400, so come on, you can do it, 400. All right, while that's preheating, I'm going to peel and chop up my sweet potatoes. All right, my sweet potato is peeled. It's orange now, not brown. Next, we're gonna cut it. First thing that I do when I cut sweet potato, and some people wonder why, is I cut the ends off. I'm not sure why myself, I just don't trust them. I don't want anything to do with them while I'm cooking. Then I'm gonna cut, and also a little note here, be careful cutting sweet potato. It can be tough. I'm gonna cut these little discs about 1 inch apart. And I'll stop there and I'll show you what I'll do next. Then I'm gonna stack. You could do one at a time if you want, if you're not sure about your chopping technique. And I'm gonna stack 2. And I'm just gonna cut again like 1 inch across, and then 1 inch back across this way. All right, do that for the whole 2 sweet potatoes, and then throw it on your bench. Well, got all my lovely little chunks of sweet potato laid out on the baking sheet. Now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons, so that's 1 teaspoon for each sweet potato. 2 teaspoons drizzled on top. You might notice in the recipe they call for a lot more oil than I'm going to use. Typically I use a lot less oil than the recipe calls for. I just think that most recipes overdo it on the oil. And then a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and toss to coat. The oven is preheated. Let's put them in the oven. Careful, it's hot. Maybe use an oven mitt to be safe. I don't know why I'm not. I'm gonna put that in there. And we're gonna set the timer. You know what, because my chunks of sweet potato were a little bit bigger, I think they're gonna need a little bit more cooking. Just say 25 minutes, but if you cut your pieces up real small, 20 minutes would probably get it done. So 20 to 25 minutes cook time. All right, while those sweet potatoes are cooking, I'm gonna make my dressing. You know, for a long time, I thought making a dressing was just way too much of a hassle. So I bought store-bought dressing until I discovered the dressing from this recipe. It's 3 ingredients: olive oil, lemon juice, and Dijon mustard. First, I'm gonna measure out 2 tablespoons of the olive oil. Then we're gonna get 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. So, cut my lemon in half. Grab my juicer. Juice it up real nice. Now, half a lemon juiced is probably about a tablespoon, but because I'm very precise, I'm actually gonna measure it out. So it's a little bit more than 1 tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon in there. And finally, Dijon mustard. 1 teaspoon of. Whoops. I have to use my finger here. Hands are washed. Trust me. All right, so there's my ingredients. I'm just gonna grab a fork and whisk, whisk, whisk. I actually use this dressing on a lot of salads now. Anytime I'm making a salad, as long as I have these 3 ingredients, I'm good to go. No preservatives. Oh, I almost forgot. Salt and pepper. Heather always asks me, this is classic that we caught this on tape because I forget the salt and pepper often, then we add it after. I'll make sure I get the salt and pepper in the dressing, and then an extra little whisk to combine. Ah, I wish you were arugula. I guess I'll have to accept you as spinach. Time to add the spinach to the bowl. We're gonna use about half this big case. Lots of greens. Make sure you get the slimy ones out. It really bothers me. This is 6 days before the best before, and it's got slimy bits. Does that bother anyone else? Have you had this experience before? I bet you have. All right. So this recipe makes really big salads. That's part of the reason I love it. I love a good big salad. You can see here, lots of leafy greens. Lots of leafy greens. I'm just picking through to make sure we get the best pieces. They're fairly full. How's that look, Heather? Does that look like enough greens?
Yep.
All right. Next, 1/4 cup of parsley. Remember our trick for this from the pasta salad? Fold it over in your hand, grab it tight, and then mince away. Make sure you get your focused mincing face on. Next up, a 1/2 cup of thinly sliced green onion. And if you want to be fancy, like Heather, you can cut them on an angle. Ooh, this knife should be sharper. Product placement, nuts for cheese. It's Un-Brie-lievable. All right, let's get to cutting this up. It's a little bit difficult to cut because it's soft. It's made out of cashews. Typically, we like to use a pretty big chunk. I think the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of feta cheese. So if you like feta cheese, you could definitely use feta cheese. I'm gonna cut off probably what I would think is 2 tablespoons worth right there. So that's what I'll be using in today's salad. And then I'm just gonna cut it into little chunks, little bite-sized chunks. You can see it sticks to the knife a little bit. Try not to make too much of a mess. Get those into little chunks and then just throw them in your salad. It's gonna be delicious. Oh, the timer went off while I was dancing, which means the sweet potatoes should be ready. Careful. The oven blast in the face. Pull them out. Now before we turn the oven off, I'm gonna make sure they're done. What I like to do is take a fork and start stabbing them. Let's check some of the bigger ones first. Soft all the way through. Soft all the way through. Make sure you test out ones all over the pan. Some areas might have been hotter than others. Okay, these are all soft. What you don't want, I find, is just, they're not quite cooked to totally soft. It's not gonna be the same experience when you're eating your salad. Now we need to let those cool just a little bit before we throw them on the salad. So to do that, I'm going to take them off my baking sheet on the parchment paper and lay them on something that hasn't been in the oven for half an hour. Just flatten them all out and maybe let them sit there, I don't know, 5 minutes. Then they'll be ready to put on our salad. We'll add the dressing. We'll be good to go. While we're waiting for the sweet potatoes to cool, let's play What's on Your Fridge? What are we looking at first? Oh, cats with laser beams coming out of their eyes. Wow! What else is up here? It's my Oma. She turned 100 on July 15th. Imagine that, 100 years of life. Congratulations, Oma. Love you. All right, so I've let these cool for a few minutes. I actually don't mind if they go in a little bit warm. Here, let me show you how this is looking. There's quite a few sweet potatoes. We're gonna have a lot of sweet potatoes in this salad. It's part of the reason I love it. So we don't mind if they go in a little bit warm because we like that it melts the cheese, and we don't mind having a little bit of wilted greens. But if you wanted really crisp, all around crisp greens, and if you didn't want your feta to melt, for example, then definitely let those cool until they're room temperature. You could even toss them in the fridge and get them a little bit cooled down below room temperature. So now I'm just going to, I'm going to toss it lightly before I dress it. So just give it a little mix here. You can see what happens right away. All the sweet potatoes go to the bottom. So you're gonna have to make sure that you divide them up fairly when you serve. And now I'm just going to add my yummy homemade dressing that I made up. Drizzle that on there. Yum. I cannot count the amount of times I've eaten this salad this summer. It's one of those things that's just nice and easy to whip up when you don't want to think about making something too complicated. I love salads in the summer, nice and light. We tend to eat lighter in the summer, not as heavy, rich foods. But that cheese, you can see how it's melting there. We don't see as many of the chunks, but it's got a little bit of almost like cream all over the leaves. That's so tasty. It's delicious. Get that all tossed up there. And then you're gonna see I got my mega big pasta / salad bowls ready to serve up. We're gonna get a healthy serving here. Whoop. Might be able to scrape in some now. Yeah. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. I get a little OCD about the serving. Want to make sure that it's equal on both sides. But there you have it. We have our nice, delicious, big, nutritious summer salads. This is the roasted sweet potato and arugula, not arugula. This version is spinach, but I would prefer if it was arugula because arugula is so yummy. Summer salad with nuts for cheese. Thanks for coming by. See you next time on our next edition of Cooking with Rob.